Hello there, I'm Randy Cross, and you're watching Unsafe Spaces. I want to thank you for joining us as we go through here our 14th episode. You find us at all the normal places. If you have any notes you'd like to add to this or any other show or suggestions, again, it's producer at unsafespacesUSA.com. Hey, let's take a look at the week that was really between last show and this show. Very fitting music here because just this last Monday, we were all witness to something that's supposedly a once-in-a-lifetime event, though they said it'll happen again in 24 years. So hopefully from this side, it's a twice-in-a-lifetime event. The eclipse. Pretty amazing. If you went to the trouble of going.
I'm being followed by a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow. Leaping and hopping on a moon shadow, moon shadow, moon shadow.
Boy, how amazing is that? I mean, the totality, actually, it got dark in a lot of places. So yeah, the eclipse was an amazing event. I know there's a lot of people out there that was sort of the highlight of their year. They need to get out more. That's all I'll say about that. Hey, another highlight of the last week or so, Major League Baseball. And not so much it in general, but Major League Baseball visited Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where the Little League World Series is. There's a minor league baseball team in Williamsport. And they sort of prepped, retrofitted, whatever you want to call that stadium. But the best thing about it was, these Major League Baseball teams, they flew in, they spent time with the kids at the Little League World Series, and you actually got to hear what a Major League Baseball game would sound like with a Little League age announcer.
2-0 pitch. Dexter Fowler, a fly ball to the opposite field, and that's off the wall. And the play at second base, and they got Dexter Fowler.
Oh, my.
On the relay, Marte and company.
Oh, I love that. Hey, hats off to Major League Baseball. That's fantastic. I think it's a great idea going there. It was hard to tell from the reporting that was involved who had the most fun, the Little Leaguers or the Major Leaguers. Great experience, and there were actually a handful of guys that were on those two teams, the Pirates and the Cardinals involved, that had played in the Little League World Series. Next up on the list, kneeling for the national anthem is not just Colin Kaepernick anymore. It's a lot of people, especially Cleveland Browns. They did this as a group. I guess the big story was now across the league that several white players were joining the African-American players and kneeling. The only thing I would ask is, guys, explain what you're doing. Say why you're doing it. I know you love each other. I know you're teammates. I know you're doing it for solidarity. But why the hell are you kneeling in the first place during the national anthem? Is that too much? Too much to ask? Just do that as you explain. It'll make the whole thing a lot easier. Hey, getting going. Week 0 in college football is here. Yes, not Agent Zero, not Gilbert Arenas, but week 0. Why it's week 0, don't ask me. The NFL calls it preseason. College football's calling it week 0, but these games count. Here's your map. Here's the major college football teams in every state. Well, actually, I have two sort of favorite football teams here in our group for this year. And yes, Jim Moore and UCLA, that would be my input. I love me some Bruins, and hopefully they have a great year. And as you can tell, we have a Michigan alum/resident fan involved here. So we'll show that. But college football kicks off this Saturday. I know CBS Sports Network has the Oregon State at Colorado State game. Aaron Taylor and company will be working on that game. Colorado State unveiling a new stadium. And just by way of information, football is here for college football side. My game is Saturday night on CBS Sports Network. It is University of South Florida with Quentin Flowers, new coach Charlie Strong. Really a good team. Could be an undefeated type team coming out of the American, a group of 5 conference, is going to be at San Jose State. Good story there. Their head coach, Brent Brennan, is coming in, was at Oregon State for a long time, among other places. Great young man. And I say young man because he's significantly younger than me. That and the fact I met him when he was about 4. I met his dad at a golf tournament in 1977. And we were friends until his death a couple of years ago. And the Brennans are a fantastic family. And I can't wait to see Brent. And I can't wait to see some of his family members out there in Northern California at the San Jose State USF game coming up. And just a reminder, Inside College Football, also on CBS Sports Network, every Tuesday night from 9 to 11. Want to make sure you mark that, put that on your DVR. That's Adam Zucker, Rick Neuheisel, Aaron Taylor, Brian Jones, and myself. Every Tuesday night, 9 to 11 from now till, about the middle of December, when they quit playing regular season games and the Army-Navy game's over, and then you can start looking at bowl games, and that will be here before you know it. I tell you, great week for Game of Thrones. That's next up on the week that was. Oh my goodness, was that a good week. Let's I won't ruin anything from last week, but let's take a look at the trailer for next week.
There is only one war that matters, and it is here.
Yeah, it's an amazing show. It's almost like going to the theater, going to the movies every single week. Won't ruin any spoilers for you from the previous episode or episodes, but it's going to be a titanic finish to this season. Then you'll have to wait probably another year at least until they start the next 7 or 8 episodes, which will be the final season of Game of Thrones. And just a reminder in the week that was is, yes, it's been about a week since the last show, but you know what? D.C., that is the District of Columbia, Washington, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, as a general location, yeah, it does kind of suck. But that doesn't mean we can't have some fun. Kind of like our guy Trump here. When in doubt, he smiles, he hugs the flag, and he knows how to deal with the people, doesn't he?
I bring you a message. The world will come to a flaming end at midnight tonight.
You hear about Trump?
Your name is Trump? I am the only one. Trust me. I can build a wall around your homes that nothing will penetrate.
What do we do? How do we save ourselves?
You ask, how do you build that wall? You ask, and I'm here to tell you.
You're a liar, Trump.
I had to have a little fun with it. Everybody else is losing their freaking minds. Yeah, it's amazing. You elect a non-politician that does things in a very brusque, direct way. And then you're extremely shocked and appalled that he's a non-politician that does things in a very brusque and direct way. Go figure. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. All right, let's move on. Butthurt of the week is, it's here. And by way of review, I want to just have a quick review on what butthurt is. Well, first of all, if you go to Google and you Google the term butthurt, several things will come up. But if you put in butthurt report, this is what you'll see. Yes, yes. Don't you love some of this? What caused or invited the butthurt? Was a tissue needed? Were you able to move past it? How about the reasons for filling out the report? Check all that apply. There's some classics on there. And next up is your scale of butthurtness. Yeah, that's pretty easy. And it's appropriate. You've got some dude with glasses and a ponytail. Only thing would be more apropos to current is that was a man bun instead of a ponytail. But, you're pooper pained, you're bum burned. And if you do get butt hurt, here you go. There's actually a butthurt cream. Instant relief for your belief. I got to have fun. If you can't have fun, what the hell's the use of even doing it? And something that goes into the butthurt of the week category is a story. Let's just take a look at the headline involved in this story. And this is real. ESPN pulls Asian American announcer from Virginia football game because he has a Confederate general's name. Yes, it's Robert Lee. Robert Lee. This is Robert Lee. We've lost our grip. It's gone. See ya. Put a little mark down. This is when it all started to go to the shitter. All right, that'll do it for butthurt. Let's move right along to real world news. Our first story in real world news is actually, I think, a very topical conversation now that football is back, both in the NFL scene and the college football scene. There was a recent article about a former Tennessee Titan tight end and radio host up in Nashville, Frank Wycheck, a guy that I've talked to and interviewed and been interviewed by several times. Good man. Played, like I said, played tight end. Many concussions, and he's having some issues. And it's just a story it's an isolated incident, and unfortunately, it's not an unusual isolated incident. And it all goes back to something that's very simple. Helmets have always been designed to prevent skull fracture. They have not been built to designed to protect the brain. But that is starting to change. There you go. The 01. This helmet originally came out about 10 years ago or so, and they've refined it and refined it. Here we go. Listen to this.
Crumple zones, airbags, crash detection. We're fully okay with sacrificing an entire automobile to save the passengers. If you compare the innovation in the automotive industry with innovation in football helmets, we're way behind. They're basically like cars from the 70s. A hard shell, padding on the inside. Good luck.
Yeah, and the helmet here, these are the drop tests that they use. And that's dropped from a specific distance. And you see the give that's involved. That is kind of a padded black surface on the bottom. But these helmets are now being designed, finally, to mitigate some of the trauma that's visited upon the head and skull of a player playing football. And hopefully this will make it easier and make it better for people to play, and there'll be less medical issues down the road. And eventually we'll be able to say we've gotten to where helmets are safe for football. Heaven forbid we should use shoulders and try to get heads out of the game. Those that have suggested maybe you don't wear helmets, I think you'd probably have a lot more problems if you didn't wear a helmet and played football, but that's just me. Next up in our real world news is something that I guess if you're not a billionaire, you don't really think about, but business domination is, I guess it's a trait. It's a character trait or character flaw that a lot of billionaires have. They want to dominate. Well, we've got a group of businessmen now that want to dominate outer space. You know, you've got Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Look at this group. You got Branson and Virgin. They want to dominate space, and not so much just space. You've got commercial space and you've got business space. So these guys now are talking about taking people to outer space as a commercial venture.
Well, if Elon and Richard can go to space, why can't I? Billionaires, they're not just like us. Fellow residents of Earth, I'm Mike Janella for 8012. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is the latest really rich dude trying to make commercial space travel a thing. In fact, he's investing more than $200 million to make it happen. This is all to build space tourism as an industry and compete with Elon Musk's SpaceX and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. So, are rich businessmen just gonna take over space with nobody to stop them? Believe it or not, the United Nations already has laws for how humans are supposed to act up there. In 1967, the UN ratified the Outer Space Treaty. Excuse me, the Treaty on Principles Governing the... you can read the rest.
Well, I'm with him. You read the rest. That's coming. That's coming. I've actually got a friend that put down $250,000, and this got to be 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, to be part of Elon Musk's SpaceX program, to be one of the early astronauts. He has since withdrawn his deposit. I'm not sure if he lost faith in the SpaceX program or saw some of the craft blow up on the pad or what it was, but he's not part of that anymore. But this story kind of almost buries the lead on where business space is headed, because businesses are going to be going to space very, very soon to mine, and that's to mine asteroids and to get natural resources off of asteroids. As soon as they can figure out that pesky little problem about coming back and bringing stuff back and getting it back in enough volume to make those trips, I guess, financially feasible, that's where they'll be going. I'm not a big fan personally, but we'll see how this ends up. A little bit of a somber, serious story here for our last real world news story, but it definitely goes into the category of why the hell aren't more of us talking about this? And this is a story about female veterans, especially female veterans that have filed and had sexual harassment or sexual assault histories against them, and what their life has become and what it's like. And they are the fastest growing homeless group among veterans. And that's something that you got to talk about, stuff like this. This has got to be pointed out. The fastest growing group among veterans that are going homeless are women. And these are women that are shunned. These are women that are shuffled off, like the example in the headline, is sent off to South Korea after the accusations of rape and assault are made, and their lives are ruined. And this is a group that it's just not necessary. It should not be. And I think we need to shine lights on these types of situations. Just want to point that out. Something I came across, and I think those of us around would probably do well to talk a little bit more about stuff like that. All right? Well, so much for serious. We'll go back to some of our fun stuff. And number one on the fun stuff parade is Tinfoil Hat section. I love that picture. I almost wanted to wear one of those Monday on studio. We were taping a bunch of shows up in New York for the eclipse. Get me a tinfoil hat, and just from that time, it was actually overhead. Wear my tinfoil hat. First story in the tinfoil hat. A lot of these discoveries come up. We've come across a breaking news story about, the origins of man.
"25 million years ago, a new species appeared on Earth.
There's like 60 people in the village. You really have to go out of your way to not know that somebody exists. I just want to lay with her so badly.
I don't see it. She's cute, but I don't think I'd lay with her.
She's your sister. It'd be like laying with your mother.
Which was a big mistake. I see that now.
Gotta have fun, even with the tinfoil hat and everything else. Next up, a story that is not kidding. This is serious, and this was something that was discovered on the ocean floor down by the continent of Antarctica. Check this out. Seafloor antenna.
Antarctica, one of the world's most mysterious continents, far away from
Penguin.
the modern world, deep within the frigid, pitch-black waters of this massive chunk of ice, where our next discovery was miraculously made.
That's not a mast.
An out-of-place artifact, which is still resting at the bottom of this sea. Known as the Eltanin antenna, similar to the Baltic Sea anomaly, yet positioned at a far deeper depth, in an extremely remote, cold, and lonely part of our world. It too shows all the hallmarks of an artificially created object.
That's the Baltic
The question
Sea
is,
item.
what could it be? And more importantly, what was or is its function?
That's right. That's right. An antenna on the Antarctic seafloor. By the way, that's at about 4,000 meters. That's pretty deep for those of you that don't know. So it's an antenna. I got no idea. Got nothing for you. It's not a spaceship. Here's the last one in our tinfoil hat section. There's a lot of places I would look first for alien life and proof that there's people out there and they live among us and they've been among us. Might not be Oklahoma for me, but in this case, they found remnants of an ancient spaceship in Oklahoma. Yeah.
An intriguing discovery made within a forest in Oklahoma. This discovery, as previously discussed, is a compelling link to Waffle Rock. Embedded in the dirt where it struck the ground many years prior, numerous specialists have postulated that it could be a fragment of an artificial craft which disintegrated in the sky. What was astonishing regarding David's discovery was the similar structure of the object which they discovered, also partially buried and scattered amongst the woods, possibly the debris of this once enormous craft.
Yeah, and by the way, Waffle Rock is not a digestive condition brought on by too much cheese on your hash browns at Waffle House. Waffle Rock, piece of a spaceship that fell off and stuck into the ground, and there's waffle stuff. Well, that's another segment. We'll inform you more about that at another date. Hey, now my favorite guy in the entire show, Feel Good. Look back. Come on, look back. Look. I didn't look back again. I love that little hamster. I think that's a hamster. Guinea pig. They all look alike. I know it's not a gerbil. That's all that really matters. The feel-good story is, I couldn't help. This is more of my generation, but it's a story of a young man that surprised his dad. Not a young man particularly, but surprised his dad with a box for his birthday. And check out what he gave his dad. Yeah, you're reading that right.
Check out the inside. Yes. What? Right there on the sweatband.
You're kidding!
Nope.
Oh, the hell!
An army buddy of mine does Vietnam reenacting. He's on the Facebook page. Somebody in the UK posted this, saying, hey, I recently picked this up. Can you tell me some more information about it? And he said, holy shit, my buddy's father was in Vietnam. Yeah.
God! Last time I saw this one was in Nam. They didn't bring it home.
Well, this one...
I came home wearing a floppy.
So it made...
I'm sorry, that just made me smile. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a fantastic story, and it's another one of those power of the internet. Nowadays, you can find, or have people find for you, pretty much anything from your history, from your past, or some of the pasts of the loved ones closest to you. Hey, thanks for watching this week. I want to remind you that we're out as many places as we can be. Please copy this show, pass this show on, send in comments to producer at unsafespacesusa.com, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, no matter what it is, we need you to get it out and we need you to share this show because we want to get this thing rolling. I want to thank you for joining us this week, and for us, besides saying thank you, it's time for us to say happy trails.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails.